Finally, after several close shaves, we've actually made it into the old town itself. Here's a look of the inside of the ancient fortifications. Together with lots of different development over the last 500 years since the town city walls were built up. And in particular, there are numerous churches and even cathedrals inside the old town city boundaries. But I can't complain that it's overly busy on this street. And as you can tell, the sun's gone in. Apparently, these style of action cameras, as they're called, are best in sunshine during daylight hours. But I find the sunshine is a double-edged sword, because when you're filming, things tend to be over bright or excessively dark, and getting that balance is tricky. And I know when I take photographs, I like to enjoy that end of the daytime when the sun's pretty much gone down, but there's still a certain light shimmering. With video cameras, it's rather different. And even though I understand a day that's as cloudy as today's becoming isn't ideal, I'm still thinking, well, perhaps at least if everything is in the same shade of greyish, I can brighten it up in the editing later, just so everything flows more evenly. Here we have the City Museum. I've been complaining, whinging on about the opening hours. And here we see this one doesn't actually open until 11 o'clock in the morning. But on the other side of the coin, it does open 11 until 6 in the afternoon, May to September. Musical events as well. There are also, I've noticed, several little schools. You can hear the children inside. Music schools, art schools, dance schools. I'm just making that little bit up because I'm not sure. Not entirely. And now I'm wondering whether I want to sneak up that way or continue in this direction. Maybe I will continue in this direction. And there's some kind of tractor or other coming up behind me, so I better take evasive action. Interesting looking art shop. So you might find some cute little things in there. Open again, not until 11. But it stays open till 6, and then on Sunday 12 o'clock midday until 4 in the afternoon. So that's not bad, is it? If you're a tourist and you're wanting to find that unique little souvenir, something that isn't too much of a cliche, that's the kind of little arty place which might surprise you. And here's another little arty place as well. Gifts, toy animals, those decorative eggs, which you see a lot in this part of the world and other parts of the Eastern Europe region. Oh, that's certainly eye-catching. But as this vehicle is about to reverse into there, I think I'm better off if I make my escape. Here's another aspect. St. Peter's and Paul Cathedral. It also says St. Catherine's Church. Okay. And the cloisters of the Dominican Friary. So, a little bit convoluted, but clearly they've got works going on at the moment. And yes, I better move on. They've got some very handsome doors in Tallinn's Old Town. If you haven't picked up on that already. Very nice. If you like that sort of thing, but I know a lot of people will just walk by and not even notice. Probably think I'm mad. Another one of these little side streets which Tallinn's Old Town does very well, and it's always worthwhile popping down these little side streets, I would say, because you seldom disappointed. Isn't this attractive? And that's a dead end in the corner, so I could exit the little square, the little courtyard, in the opposite direction, but I really want to stay on track here because in an ideal world, be able to remember a little spot where they were selling particularly good chocolate, treats and coffee. I came here a good number of years ago with an Estonian friend. That is not it, even though it looks a cute little place. That one is Munga Kelder, restaurant and bar. But it was once again one of those little inner courtyards which houses artisan shops and the like. And what have I come across here? Estonian design, Katarina Guild. So why not pop in and just get an idea of what's going on there. The Hot Glass Studio, Ceramics Studio, the Cafe.Tallinn Studio, which goes over my head, I'm afraid, Fine Leather Works, Textile Works, hats and jewellery. So these people up here, predominantly ladies it seems, are the craftswomen. Perhaps that's why it's called the Katarina Guild, because all the craftspeople are actually female. And now you can see what I mean about the camera in darkness, can't you? It really doesn't show well at all, which is unfortunate. Not designed for outdoors, of course, that's why they are action cameras. I should, in a sensible world, have this little thing attached to the handlebars of a bike, and then I would be going through a forest at speed, capturing all the jumps and hijinks and tricks. But unfortunately, that's not the kind of person I am. But it is such a lightweight, small, convenient little thing to just pop in your pocket. I couldn't resist it as an idea of an upgrade on what I had already. And here we have Chocolat de Pierre, the chocolatier's cafe. This is the place I had in mind, I think. Sorry for going off track like that, but It's going to happen, isn't it? Here's an old photo of how this Master's Courtyard, I think it may be called. Could be wrong on that, but this little courtyard used to be dilapidated, completely run down. This photograph shows the snow on the ground as well. But it has been invigorated, hasn't it? Definitely has. There's a Glasswork Studio here. Textile and wood. And over to the right here is the cafe I was mentioning, which has obviously got a very good reputation. It's probably why my Estonian friend recommended it. So if this is your thing, you like the idea of being taken back to the 30s, then I highly recommend it based on a visit I made a few years ago. I'm not going to go in at the moment because obviously it would be intrusive going in with the camera, especially when I don't have it in my plan to sit down, take up a table just to myself and then drink coffee and eat chocolate cake. As I say it, I realise that is actually what I would very much like to do, but unfortunately, with some health problems ongoing, I'm not going to be able to enjoy that coffee and cake anyway. So, again, another reason to come back another day when you want to visit Tallinn. And these days, for people based in Europe, or even on the British Isles, you don't really have to try too hard to find a good flight deal, even in these post-COVID times. If you're flexible, you can get a very good flight deal to visit for a long weekend. And if that's what you have in mind, of course there are many, many, many cities across Europe which fit into that category. Many cities none of us have even heard of, never mind visited. Suddenly they spring up on the list of accessible destinations. It is quite dark in the chocolatieri cafe. So another reason why, even if I was going to go inside and order something, this camera just wouldn't pick up the detail of any detail at all of what's in there. Discreetly lit, I would say. Not super dark to the naked eye, but certainly for the sensor of this camera that I've got. See how some of these old buildings still exist in terms of much of the interior, and including the frighteningly steep steps to get down inside. This one is a museum of some kind. Oh, I thought it was the Estonian Military Pea Soup Museum for a moment, but not quite. If you want to have some Estonian military pea soup, it's free. Possibly you need to cough up €5 for the ticket to actually enter what I now see is, the Weaponry Museum. Yeah, so I can see some machine guns from here. And it's 1900 to 2000, so it's 20th century weaponry. Revel Cafe, another one which comes highly recommended. More colourful gates, and look at this wrought iron. This ironwork is very eye-catching, with a very discreet, quiet, unassuming courtyard space beyond, which we can't go in and have a look at. Not with the big padlock on it. a bespoke cigar lounge. Aha, that's right. Old Hanse. Probably the most famous restaurant and oldest restaurant in the old town. I think that's the old town hall to the right, with the big spire, slender-necked spire. And Old Hanse's one of those places which is always recommended to the tourist. It offers up curious things like elk soup, moose soup, however you call that creature with the big antlers, venison pie, and I think at one stage I heard they even had kangaroo and ostrich on the menu. What it's like these days, I'm not entirely sure. Let's have a look at the menu, shall we? They have to have a big pot like this because the elk soup is so popular, perhaps. And here you can see for yourself, smoked deer, orange tongue jelly, French royal poultry liver pate, onion jam. What a curiosity that is. Hanse smoked herring. More smoked deer. Forest mushrooms. I think the forest mushroom sounds a bit more likely to suit me than the smoked deer. But the menus here with far more ingredients and delicacies, and even for the smaller belly, oh, that's me. Roasted chicken, game sausages with sauerkraut, hot apple pie and cinnamon pancakes. So even though it's extraordinarily touristic, it isn't as excessively priced as you might find in some other cities. I mean, under the circumstances, what I'm saying is, even as a cheap guy, I wouldn't mind going in there because I'm sure I would find something, well, I can see from that menu, which isn't going to break my budget. And of course it's a very handsome medieval dark woody interior. Once again, if I did have a meeting or was travelling in a 2 or a 4, I would go in and maybe try to capture something with the camera, but would probably fail abysmally given the lighting conditions inside. Man's face peeping out. I wonder if he's supposed to be Jesus. 1596. I'm not sure if that's Jesus with a halo or somebody else who did something miraculous in 1596. And the town hall itself. A photo museum. Historic photography museum, if you feel like popping in there. Shall we take a look to see if it opens at something like 2 in the afternoon and closes at 2:30? Shouldn't be so cynical, should I? Especially when I get closer and I see that it actually is open between 11 in the morning and 1800, 6 p.m. in the afternoon, which, yeah, again, it depends on what kind of tourist you are. If you like to get up early in the morning and get out and about and do things, and it's on your list of things to do for the morning to pop into a museum just because logistically it makes sense, it's close to where you are, then yeah, that first museum of the morning isn't going to be that one. In fact, you're going to struggle to visit a museum any time earlier than 10. But if you are coming for just a short time, I think it goes without saying that this is a place you can just not hurry and stroll around. And if the weather's kind, you can enjoy just taking your time, easily exploring all the many little side streets. We're only just touching on it at the moment. Up there, that road in about 200 metres leads to Freedom Square. On the way, you might be able to pick out, or perhaps not, the big green square sign with the white eye. That's the tourist information office on the corner. Just trying to help get your bearings. And here is the Town Hall Square, the old marketplace, and the marketplace which has become famous for its winter market, Christmas market. Like so many old towns which are well preserved, Christmas time is when you can ideally enjoy the atmosphere of this place. You might want to look at photographs because that's the only side of the Tallinn Christmas markets that I've seen in the form of photographs rather than with my naked eye. Bone-chillingly cold, I'm sure, but yeah, when they have all the little hot spice wine stalls and craft stalls and smoked sausage, fast food options, then yeah, the smells, the tastes, they're probably going to warm you up, and certainly it just all looks super pretty in winter time. So do think about coming to Tallinn for the Christmas market at the beginning of December. Why not? And I'm going to have to just cater for other tourists who are roaming around the place and gathering in herds. So I'll try and keep out of their way. And I'm just doing a circuit now, showing you an overview of some of the old town. Even on a grey day, you can see it's kind of a pretty place, and would be even prettier with the sunlight, because through the back of this camera, some of what I'm capturing, some of the footage looks really dark and grim. Hopefully it doesn't come out that way in the end. And how expensive is it? Right in a place where it couldn't get too much more expensive in Tallinn. I'll let you decide, because I've got no idea how much American barbecue ribs would normally cost me, nor Hong Kong barbecue ribs, or crispy buffalo wings. So you make up your mind whether you think that's expensive or not for the absolute central touristic spot in Tallinn's Old Town. Once again, having seen some of the prices, if you're in somewhere like Venice, as a ridiculous example, then this costs peanuts. So I think I've got to end up with giving Tallinn a big thumbs up, don't you? Platz is the place to look for on the map, and plenty of fascinating little historic buildings with architectural features to look out for too. Okie dokie. Now it's onward and downward.